Elon Musk's Starlink just pulled off something that nobody saw coming. They've partnered with not one, but both of their biggest competitors in India, Jio and Airtel, to bring high-speed satellite internet to the country. But just to be clear, Starlink still needs regulatory approval before it can actually start operating in India. Welcome to our weekly Indian startup news show here at Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb Friesen, your host, and today I want to talk about what makes this deal so surprising. So up until recently, as of last October, Jio and Airtel, both of which have their own satellite service, were among Starlink's biggest opponents. Both Jio and Airtel were actively fighting against Starlink's request for an administrative allocation of satellite spectrum, but fast forward to today, and they're not just accepting Starlink, they're partnering with it. Now, for Jio, this partnership is about one thing: accessibility. They want to provide affordable, high-speed internet to every Indian person, and so integrating Starlink with Jio Fiber is part of that plan. They're even planning to sell Starlink kits through their Jio stores and their online platforms. And Airtel's partnership with Starlink is also pretty similar. Airtel is adding Starlink as an option alongside their own satellite service OneWeb, while also selling Starlink equipment in their offline stores. And this could be huge for the nearly 50% of India's population that still doesn't have consistent access to the internet. But there's one big question here: pricing. See, right now, broadband in India costs between 700 and 1500 rupees per month. Starlink hasn't revealed its India pricing yet, but in Bhutan, a similar plan costs around 3,000 rupees a month, and if Starlink sticks to that pricing, it would be 2 times more expensive than traditional broadband in India. That is a huge pricing gap, and it raises an interesting question: will Indian consumers be willing to pay that premium? If Starlink wants widespread adoption in the country, then they might have to rethink their pricing strategy. All right, next up in the news, Zomato's founder and CEO, Deepinder Goyal, has partnered with former Zomato COO Surobhi to launch LAT Aerospace, a company that wants to make intercity air travel as easy as booking an Uber. But before we get into how they plan to do this, there's an important detail. Deepinder Goyal won't be running the company himself. According to reports, he'll stay on as a non-executive co-founder, providing funding and mentorship, while day-to-day operations will be handled by Surobhi. Now, what exactly is LAT Aerospace building? Well, they're developing low-cost, 24-seater short takeoff and landing aircraft. And these planes will be able to take off and land from spaces as small as a parking lot, meaning that they won't need massive airport infrastructure. That also means no long security lines, no baggage claims, no wasted time at crowded airports. And to put it simply, LAT Aerospace is like a regional airline, similar to Fly91 or even Indigo in certain cities, which serve smaller routes with their smaller ATR 72-600 fleet. But here's the twist: instead of booking flights days or weeks in advance, you'll be able to book on demand just like you would with an Uber. And instead of going to a traditional airport, you'll head to air stops where you can just get on the aircraft and take off. Now, if they can pull this off, this would be a game changer for intercity travel in India. LAT Aerospace has already secured $20 million in funding from Deepinder Goyal and is now in talks to raise another $50 million to bring this vision to life. All right, next up in the news, Bhavish Aggarwal just made a huge announcement. He said that Ola Electric's EV business will become operationally profitable by next quarter. That's Q1 of FY26. And according to Ola, it all comes down to their network transformation and OpEx reduction program, which is helping them to save 90 crore rupees per month. They've shut down regional warehouses and now ship vehicles directly from factories to retail stores, and also they've streamlined registrations and improved their service network to cut costs. And these changes are being reflected in their numbers as well. According to Ola Electric, their inventory turnaround time has dropped from 35 days to just 20. Deliveries now take 3 to 4 days instead of 12, and daily vehicle registrations have crossed 800 units. But here's the catch: just last month, Bhavish said that Ola Electric needs to sell 50,000 scooters per month to stay profitable, and right now they're selling only half of that. On top of that, Ola Electric has laid off nearly 1,200 employees in the last 2 months. So is this profitability just a one-time boost from cost cutting, or has Ola finally figured out a sustainable way to stay profitable? We're not really sure. But despite all of these challenges, Bhavish Aggarwal remains confident. He says that Ola Electric will maintain market leadership and even expand margins with their next-gen scooters. But will this actually happen, or is it just another bold claim? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. But either way, moving on to the next news item here, continuing to talk about EVs too, another EV startup, Simple Energy, has launched their latest electric scooter, the 1S. Priced at 1.4 lakh rupees, batteries, the 1S offers a 181 kilometer range on a single charge and a top speed of 105 kilometers per hour. And this is their second launch in just 2 months. Last time they introduced an upgraded version of their flagship scooter, the One, which has an upgraded range of 248 kilometers per charge, up from 212 kilometers in the older version. But here's the real challenge. Simple Energy only started selling scooters in September of 2023, and so far has sold just 2,500 units. That gives them market share of just 0.5%. The company is expecting their market share to jump up to 1.5% though by the end of FY25, and with these two new launches, they're targeting a 7 to 8% market share by the end of FY26. All right, now let's move into the funding news segment for today's video. This week, Indian startups raised a total of $431 million, which is higher than last week's $335 million, and it's also above the trend line for the second time in a row, 2 weeks in a row. So let's take a look at some of the companies that have raised funds this week. The first one I want to talk about here is Zolve. It's a fintech startup that's solving a very unique problem for students moving from India to the United States for studies. Normally, when you move to a new country, banks don't give you a credit card because you don't have a local credit history. Without a credit card, you can't build a credit score, and without a credit score, getting loans, renting apartments, or even signing up for phone plans can become difficult. So Zolve solves this problem by letting you apply for a US bank account and credit card while you're still in India using your Indian credit history. So by the time you land in the United States, you already have a working bank account and a credit card. And they've raised $251 million in their Series B round. Following that, we have Bengaluru-based Skimplify, which has built a one-stop solution for companies that need specialty chemicals but don't want the hassle of manufacturing them. So instead of setting up their own chemical plants, companies can rely on Skimplify's network of over 200 chemical manufacturers to develop, source, and manufacture the chemicals that they need. And they've raised $40 million in their Series B round. After that, we have LAT Aerospace, which develops and supplies critical technologies like SATCOM and thermal management systems for aerospace and defense companies. And they raised $36.5 million. Next, we have Pune-based Ampere Hour, which specializes in developing advanced energy storage solutions to help businesses and power grids efficiently store and manage their electricity, and they raised $5 million. And then finally, we have Bengaluru-based fintech startup Yenmo, which gives you instant loans against your mutual fund investments, allowing you to access funds without the need to liquidate your assets. And they've raised 9.2 crore rupees, that's $1.05 million. All right, that is all the Indian startup news that I have for you all this week. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.